recused.
Let's bring in Alina Habba. She is the attorney for former President Trump. Good morning to you, Alina.
Good morning.
Good morning. So this judge, nominated by President Obama, has been one of the toughest punishers of the January 6 riots. Do you think the judge will recuse herself? Chances are probably slim, but what do you think?
I think she should recuse herself. The problem we have with this system, which is a bit broken in my opinion, is that when you ask for a recusal from a judge like this, who's been involved with Fusion GPS cases, which was the Russia hoax, as you know, who has clear links to Hunter Biden in a law firm, clearly anybody with ethics and sensibility would say, I cannot fairly oversee this case. Unfortunately, the judges themselves have to be the ones that decide this. And I've seen this happen in a case that I had with Hillary Clinton down in Florida, where the judge was appointed by Clinton and had ties as well, and the judge refused to recuse. The problem is it really should be decided by somebody other than the judge themselves. So we'll see what happens, but a motion for recusal must go in.
So there's no doubt about it. It seems as everybody in your team expects another indictment coming from Georgia, probably within the next 2 weeks. And you said it because it seems as though the prosecutor's going to photo shoots, getting barricades ready in order to, in anticipation of protesters showing up in that very purple state of Georgia.
Yeah, I think that we can expect it. I think that it's sad when you know how to expect the game they're playing because their games are so obvious and so predictable. Fani Willis has been making this quite the PR play for herself, which is ironic given the motion that Jack Smith filed on Friday. She has been waiting for years for an opportunity to have her moment, as I would call it. And I think we see that a lot with corrupt DAs and AGs. It's no longer about the law. It's no longer about punishing criminals that are actually doing crimes. It's about people getting a headline, and there's no better way to get a headline than to go after Donald Trump. It's about the indictment. It's not really about the fairness or if he's going to get out, and I think Fani's lining up and waiting just long enough to have a press cycle pass so that she has her own single Georgia moment.
Are you referring to her as corrupt?
I think that what we're seeing is these DAs are backed. No, I said there are corrupt DAs and AGs, and do I believe Fani is politically motivated? Absolutely. I think if you look at how long she has waited to bring this, that is what happens. They're backed by Soros, many of them, as you know. It's very publicly known. And they do things for the party, not for the law, not for the benefit of the state, but for the party. And that is corruption at its best, and we cannot have it. That's not what lawyers are supposed to do. We forget that. They become politicians. They're really not. They're supposed to be lawyers and judges and AGs and DAs that carry out the law and look for the benefit of the state. This in no way does that.
Alina, what about the protective order? Because I know that if this judge gets, y'all have to respond today by 5 p.m. I know you asked for a Thursday deadline. This judge said, no way, I need to know on Monday by 5 o'clock. What does this exactly mean? It means you can't share. It means Donald Trump won't be able to share things that the grand jury transcripts or evidence, that kind of thing?
Correct. A protective order is something that we frankly have agreed to on certain other cases that we have with the president, and he's never violated them. We have 2 protective orders that we don't object to, which say that there will be protections for the witnesses and protections for the evidence that come out, especially when they're classified. We don't necessarily always object, but this one's different because this is Jack Smith trying to be a bit of a victim here and come out and say, oh, it's more him being afraid, if you look at it closely. The protective order is in terms of witness testimony, exhibits. Those aren't necessarily things we've ever disagreed to, and President Trump's never violated that, if you look historically. So I just want to be clear that that doesn't seem to be an issue for my client. What seems to be an issue is that Jack Smith isn't liking the discomfort of the attention from what he brought.
And Alina, the last question would be the order in which these cases are going to come forward. As of today, which is the first one you're tackling? And are you setting up separate teams for the prior 3 as opposed to the civil suit? Let's just say the 3, and then would there be a separate one for the 4th?
Yes. Obviously, there's interaction between the lawyers to the extent that we can make sure that we're coordinated with maintaining court orders and privileges. But no, these are all different cases. They're in different states, and you need to have lawyers that are licensed in those states, as you know, and that have expertise in these different types of cases. So we'll have separate teams, and we do have a little bit of overlap in some of the criminal attorneys, but we have usually one point person from that state.
And a quick exit question for you. Given the scrutiny about what the former president says, is anybody reviewing his social media before he hit send? Because he said some stuff over the weekend that is getting a lot of attention.
Yeah. The president obviously has access to his social media. There's a system in place, meaning that we have a ton of communications people, as we know. But in terms of what he does day by day, minute by minute, I can't speak to that. I wouldn't speak to that. That's his personal business.
So nobody's reviewing it before he hits send?
I'm not going to speak to that. I think that the president has, just like I have and everybody else, the right to send it if he wants to, and if it needs to be reviewed, it gets reviewed. But, you know, he is a grown man, and he does as he wishes.
Right. Anyone who had Twitter over the last 5 years or 6 years knows there's not.
Real quickly, Alina, what will your response be today by 5 o'clock?
I'm actually not the attorney on the case, as you know, but my response, I think, will be in the papers that the attorneys are going to put in, and I think that they'll be fair. I think that we don't have issues with certain parts of it, but to put a gag order, I will say, on a candidate for president who's under attack, and to say that he can't respond to people that are attacking him is unconstitutional, and I would suspect that something's going to be in line with that.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
We know you're busy. Thanks for dropping by.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
All right.
You're welcome.
All right, let's talk a little bit about this week out in Iowa is the Iowa State Fair. All politicians are heading that way who are on the Republican side running for the nomination. It was also, this past weekend was the weekend for the 3rd annual Ashley Barbecue Bash. And that is Ashley Hinson, who is a congresswoman from out in Iowa. And she invited all the candidates who are running for president, and 7 of them showed up.
Yeah,
most of them except Donald Trump.
Yeah, Asa Hutchinson, Doug Burgum, Larry Elder, Nikki Haley, Perry Johnson, Ron DeSantis, and Vivek Ramaswamy. They each spoke, they each took stage, and they made their pitches. And in 3 weeks, that is the Fox debate on August 23rd. 3 have not qualified: Hutchinson, Elder, and Johnson. And then, Brian, did you want to speak to that before I was going to talk about Ron DeSantis showing up at the wedding.
Yeah, I was just going to add, DeSantis did show up at the event, which so caught somebody's surprise. He's just amping up his personal appearances, going through doing the retail politics.
He says he's going to go to all 99 counties in Iowa before the primary, which is in
There's
January.
The wedding.
So this is the wedding. They had a surprise guest. Governor DeSantis and his wife showed up to State Representative Taylor Collins and his wife Savannah's wedding. They were unexpected. The wife invited them. The husband did not know it was a surprise. And then they said, yeah, last minute, they said, we're going to stop by.
It looked like they kept entering over and over again. I'm not really sure how we did that.
The couple moved to the side. They clapped. He did endorse Ron DeSantis, and Lieutenant Governor Adam Gregg shared a picture on social media and said, congratulations to Taylor Collins and to Savannah Collins. So happy for you. Beautiful, with a couple surprise guests, special guests, only in Iowa.
Right. And the other thing to bring up as we go back to President Trump, Steve, to what you were referencing is anyone going through his Truth Social posts. One thing is pretty clear. Melania Trump, who many people say, well, she stepped aside. Where is she? According to page 6 today in the New York Post, not only has Melania not stepped aside, she's been his chief confidant through this so-called hellish time. They have every breakfast, almost every breakfast when possible, and every dinner together with Barron. And she is the one really scrutinizing and giving advice who Donald Trump is leaning on through this time. Anyone who's been in their presence would agree that Melania Trump is zoned in, and she has his back in a very sophisticated way, not in a general, my husband is perfect, and she knows who's saying what about what and who you could trust and who you can't. And she's been burned by 2 people in particular. Stephanie Grisham is one, and another one goes and writes books from their confidant. They've learned to trust each other, and that was echoed in today's story.
Right, and so that just flies in the face of those stories we had heard that she didn't want him to run for president. She, according to page 6, is 100% behind it, behind him. Another great story on page 6 today. You know, we've been talking about whether or not Glenn Youngkin, who is currently the governor of the Commonwealth of Virginia, is going to get into the race. This weekend, according to page 6, out in the Hamptons, Wilbur Ross, who was Donald Trump's Commerce Secretary, had a big dinner, and the guest of honor was Governor Youngkin. A bunch of millionaires were there, billionaires actually, They said it wasn't a fundraiser, but Steve Ross was there, Ronald Lauder, John Paulson, Nelson Pulse, a lot of people with a lot of money, and they were asking him about his positions, about different things like that. This comes on the heels of a University of Virginia college poll that came out last week that showed that in the Commonwealth of Virginia, in Virginia itself, if it were Glenn Youngkin versus Joe Biden, Glenn Youngkin would actually beat Joe Biden, who won the state in 2020.
Yeah, well, we'll see if he gets in. He's hinted around. He didn't answer the question last week when asked, are you going to get in? He said, I'm just focused on my state right now. But we'll
Which
see.
is what they always say.
Yeah, yeah. So
But it's so easy to do what Tom Cotton did. You know, I'm not going to run. That's all you have to say. But he is obviously thinking about it, and he does have some support.
Wait and see what happens with DeSantis and with Donald Trump and see where that goes before he makes a decision. Right. He might just wait until the next season.
Think, you know,
but Wilbur Ross to host is pretty significant.
Right,
I mean, he was the one who was the whole time with Donald Trump.
Right, and we had Glenn Youngkin on a couple of weeks ago, and I had asked him about an Axios story that said big donors are begging him to get in. These are a bunch of big donors in the Hamptons this weekend. So, you know, Ron DeSantis was way up there, has kind of stalled out right now. So maybe the big donors are thinking, all right, what's plan B? It could be that guy.
He's very presidential. He listens to the voters. He heard what the parents had to say, and they voted for him, and he won in Virginia. He has a lot of experience in business. He's very successful with the Carlyle Group.
He is.
We'll see.
Right.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.